Motor development. It has been repeatedly shown that the pattern of motor development is exactly the same for every human baby. And each child passes through each of these physical stages at almost the same age. Right? So that is quite expected. So we all grow at the same rate, almost at the same rate. But then I will talk more about this rate of development later on. All right. The three general rules of motor development. You see here there are three. Okay? Cephalocaudal progression, that is top-down progression. Motor ability develops from the head on down to the toes. So that is to say, head, shoulders, arms, abdomen, legs, and feet. Right? So the second one is called proximal distal progression. Say central to outward, right? Central to outward. So motor activity develops from the central axis of the body on outward. Example, the trunk. First, shoulder movements occur earlier than separate arm movements. Control of the hands and the finger come last. Okay, controls of the hands and fingers come last, and you will see that's why later on we'll discuss in cognitive development that most of the time the baby or when the infant, should I say, the baby reaches out for the milk bottle. The baby doesn't grab it like this, but then like a mass movement, and a lot of time, the likelihood is good that the baby will just knock down the milk bottle because of uncoordinated movement and because of lack of control of extremities, the fingers, right? Oh, number three, global and mass, by global and mass to specific action progression. So the baby's first actions are global and undifferentiated. Remember the sheath of the axon, we call it the myelin, is not maturely formed. So a lot of short circuiting. So it's global and mass. That is to say, move the hand like this, and the finger, they cannot control the finger at that time, or cannot control all the fingers at that time. So the baby's first actions are global and undifferentiated, okay, and undifferentiated. So so slowly the infant's ability to move specific responses emerges. Example, refined activity of the of the hand, of the arm, of the fingers, and then of the thumb, and so they could do this and suck the thumb. Right? So that's the kind of the three general rules for motor development. Alright? Okay. So let's take a look at sensory development. Right? The infant is capable of discrimination between sweet and sour taste at birth. Right? And I think in the internet you probably could see an infant when fed a small slice of lemon, and you see the reaction. kind of grimace, and then you something like that. All right. So responses to different smells have been observed within the first few hours after birth. Right. So that's the observation. Some respond to sound almost immediately after birth, whereas others may take a few days, perhaps waiting for the amnio, amniotic. It's hard. I think amniotic fluid. Okay, it's from the mother's womb. They drain out of the infant's hearing mechanism. So biologically, they can hear. Okay, it's just because of the fluid. Okay. Visions, okay? And you can see a vision develops more slowly. Example, response to light, to darkness, the pupillary reflex is functioned within 2 days. Okay? And by 10 days, okay, infants can follow moving objects with their eyes. Okay? By 6 months, infants can discriminate between colors and such shapes as circles, triangle, and between faces of parents and strangers. Okay, they could do that. All right. And the visual cliff. Okay, remember what in first year psychology, the cat stops at the visual cliff. Okay, visual cliff experience has shown that 6-month-old infants have the ability to for depth perception, okay, to perceive depth. All right, so take a look at this here. All right, take a look at this here. 1 month, okay, 2 months, and 3 months adults. Okay, this is this is from the artist's perspective, but of course we're informed by scientists. And also remember this one here, the visual cliff experiment. The cat, see the cat here, want to walk over to the so-called the deep side of the deep side of the ground, right? That's a well constructed experiment. All right, so that's very good. Now, speech development. Just take a look at speech development. Biological foundation studies have shown that certain sounds occur at about the same time and in about the same order in all infants. So learning theorists such as Skinner, B.F. Skinner, the behaviorism, okay? He believes that babies keep some of these sounds, those reinforced by the parents, and slowly it's got those that are not encouraged, or in behaviorist term, not reinforced. All right. Other theorists, such as Noam Chomsky, remember Chomsky, he's still alive, 90-some years old, and he has now become a politician. He has also written about politics. Okay, Chomsky believes there is a heavy genetic component in language acquisition. Chomsky argues that there is an innate language acquisition device which directs the infant's ability to learn. All right. Now, speech like other developmental abilities is product of heredity, environment, and time. All right. So let's take a look. Take a look at some of the things here now. Skinner's version. Skinner cannot what. You will see that there was a battle between Skinner and Chomsky around 1965 to 1972. Okay? So remember Skinner here, he mentioned that what he believes in language is the product of stimulus, response, and reinforcement. So he believes that all those words reinforced by the language community will be kept, and those not will be discarded. But then, take a look at Take a look at some errors. Okay, some errors that I will talk about those later on. Okay, so not to distract you from some of the stages of language development. Okay, sorry. Okay, by 9th or 10th month, okay, the infants are able to imitate some of the sounds made by others around them. Okay, and some child could start talking, start to talk at the age of 10 months. Okay, the first word is uttered at about 1 year of age. Okay, about 1 year. Some could do that by the 10th month. Okay. And then vocabulary increases. Vocabulary increases slowly for the next month. Well, this slowness is believed to be due to the total attention the infant devotes to walking. Okay, to walking, as you will see in Piaget cognitive development. This is the case. Okay, once the child has mastered walking, the next stage is explosion of language acquisition. Right? So once so language development was speeds up. Okay, once the child has mastered walking, speech like other developmental abilities, as I just mentioned, is product of heredity, interacting with environment, then interacting with time. So the notion of critical period applies here. Okay. Studies have shown that if environmental situation comes too late, normal language acquisition is prevented. Okay, sex differences in brain organization. Right male brain is more complex. Female brain in the left hemisphere neurologically more complex than the male brain. See here we have sex differences in brain organization. So this is what we say at this point in time. What we long for equities, like between men and women. Okay, this is good. I strongly believe this has to be done. Okay, so equity in salary, equity in getting promoted, that type of thing. Okay? But then we have to acknowledge the differences so that we understand human more. All right. So the next topic here is bonding. of bonding is due to what? Due to the critical period theory. Okay? A process similar to imprinting. Remember imprinting? Within the first few days of the baby's life, when the mother touches the baby, or when the father touches the baby, then what there is what psychologists call the bonding occurs, okay, for life. For life. There is no such thing like touch the baby and you will be electrified. No. You don't feel it, but it's there. Trust me. I went through this twice. And also talk to your parents, talk to a lot of fathers and mothers, and you will see that this observation by psychologists is very, very true. Okay? You hear me? All right, so a process similar to imprinting among birth occurs between mother and child, or father and child. So a strong emotional attachment between the parents and the child. Okay? Now, this bonding process requires direct physical contact between parent and child, and especially between mother and infant. Okay, that bond is strong. And I believe, and a lot of psychologists believe that bond between the maternal bond, okay, between the mother and the baby is stronger than the baby, than between the father and the baby. All right? Now, and this contact must be made during the first 3 days of the life of the infant. So this is called the critical period for bonding to occur. So remember imprinting the first 3 hours, the first few hours, that when the baby duck or goslings or whatever, the baby bird sees the mother, and they will follow. And if the baby duck sees Conrad Lawrence shoes, then the baby duck, when it grows up, will follow Conrad Lawrence wherever he goes. Okay, so that is something built in. Okay, built in, like genetically built into our development. All right. Okay, so let's take a look at take a look at physical development in adolescence. And we have, of course, here we have early and late maturity, and of course sex differences abound. For example, let's take a look at weight and height here. Okay, at age 10, boys grow much faster than girls. They are taller and they're more mature. Okay? But then by age 13, okay, by age 13, just the opposite. Girls say around 13 years old, girls are more mature, or they have bigger build than boys, okay, in general. However, by age 16, boys become more say taller and heavier. They see here we are talking about weight and height. All right. So let's take a look at early versus late physical maturation. Okay. All right. So take a look at the sex differences here. In terms of IQ, grade placement, Okay, and we have one EM1, early maturation or early mature. LM, late mature. Okay, late mature. Okay, so early maturation, late maturation. All right. Okay, so in terms of IQ, grade placement, and in terms of what socioeconomic status, that is to say what their understanding of what of social status, that type of thing. So EM, early maturation or early mature, better, or well, better than late mature, and also in the eyes from the perspective of adults, right? Children with extremely high IQ, we generally find that we find that in early mature more than in late mature. Early mature here also the IQ grade placement, IQ higher than late mature, and also they earn better grades than late mature. So children with extremely high IQ, we find that more often in early mature than in late mature. So for boys here, peers rating, rating among themselves here. Boys are rated as more attractive, as better athletes, and more likely to be elected to the student office. Only for those who are early maturers than for late maturers. The early maturers are more likely to be rated as more attractive, better athletes, and more likely to be elected to student office. Like they were early mature, they are likely they are taller, and of course they are taller, and they are they look more promising, that type of thing. You see, it's just the general physique, okay, would determine people's opinion about them here, okay, like peers rating. Now, for boys who show more self-control, more interested in girls, more extroversion, okay, early mature are perceived to be better than late mature. Like they have more self-control, more interested in girls, more extroversion. Okay, so that is this one more. Okay, now look at adult rating of girls on social and personality traits. See here, EM, early mature, below average. Okay, late mature, above average. Okay, so you see that's from adult's perspective. Peer, now here, peer ratings, not from adult, but from their own peers. Okay, peers rating of girls, late mature rated more favorably. Okay, say this is in general, this is true. Okay? Peer ratings of boys just the opposite. Early mature rated more favorably because of the imposing physique. Well, taller, stronger, so will be perceived as more capable, better. Right. So the conclusion is that early maturity is an advantage for boys, while the opposite is true for girls, right? So that's the general observation, right? Good. Okay. That's it. Thank you.